Welcome to my podcast. I'm going to find this an interesting podcast to do because it's all about seeing spirit. I know lots of people who see spirit. I see it in a certain way, and other people see it in different ways, and you will be the same. You'll have your own way to see spirit. I tend to see spirit in my third eye, so I see it like a picture in my head. So I see where they are in my mind, but I also know where they are energetically in the room. So if I'm doing a reading and someone's dad turns up, I'll know that he's standing just there or just there. Unfortunately, I don't see spirit in form yet. I've never seen them in actual real form. I've asked to see them in form, but as yet, I haven't seen them in form. You might see them in form. Everyone does it really differently. I've known people, my friend Doll, who worked with Harry Edwards, she's passed now, she would actually see them as a real being, like they'd walk in with people, so the people would walk in with their guides, or if someone had passed, I remember being with her, and the little girl who had passed, she actually saw her like standing there in a little red dress, with little curls, little blonde curls. Other people see them, particularly when they pass, when people have passed, they wake up in the night, they will see someone at the end of the bed. I know a young man, he was at football, watching football, and he told me that he could see his grandfather was sitting right next to him. His grandfather obviously had passed, but he actually saw him like a grandfather, like he was just there. We can sometimes catch shadows of them. They will seem a little transparent, like translucent when you look at them. That's what I've been told. And they will come in quite suddenly and quickly. Usually spirit will come in to reassure us or to give us a message. With one of my friends, she had seen spirit twice, and both times it was when she was told by that person who died that they wanted her to give the message to someone who was still alive. It put her in a strange position because she had to give the message, but she didn't want to look like she was some strange person saying, oh, by the way, your husband turned up at the end of my bed yesterday and he wants this message for you. But she found a way to do that, a way to broach the subject and then to do it. If you actually see spirit, I wouldn't mind if you left me a few comments. I think it's quite amazing. Sometimes we only have one time we see it, other times we can see them a lot. I've had people come for readings and tell me that they saw there's a big angel standing here in my room. I'm very connected to the angelic realm. I've got angels throughout my house, everywhere, on all the paintings and all little statues and everywhere. There's angels all over my house. And I think that's because I tend to resonate with that realm. But it was really lovely when the lady said, you've got a really big angel standing next to you. And I thought that was really quite beautiful. It was like a gift to me. When we see spirit, we're actually seeing with our soul eyes. I'll do a podcast on human eyes and soul eyes. Our soul eyes are the eyes that we see through energetically. So when we see them, we're seeing with our soul eyes. Our human eyes wouldn't be able to detect them because they are past our vision, because we can only see in a certain range. I think pets actually see spirit. I think their range is different. And you'll often find a pet looking very intently in a corner. And sometimes if they're dogs, they will bark at something that it might be grandpa who's passed or someone else who's passed, and they see the spirit, and that's why they bark, because they can see it. You can ask to see spirit. You might be able to see them in real life. I see them like a little picture in my head. So I will see the person who passed and I will see them standing there. It's almost like I look, but I don't see with my eyes. I see with almost my head. I know that sounds strange. And I'm sure that's coming through my third eye. So then I'll see what they're dressed and their expression. I usually get the emotion that comes with the person. So if they've come to speak to someone, they will have a certain emotion. I'll actually feel that same emotion because I'm actually connected to them energetically. There is some fear around seeing spirits too. Some people are frightened of spirits. They will see them in the house and they feel the place is haunted. One of the spirits that hasn't got a very good rap are poltergeists, and they are a spirit who are quite mischievous, and they tend to throw pots and pans around the house and chuck things all over the place and make funny thudding and noises. They would be the spirit that most people don't feel comfortable with. If you encounter that, you just ask that they be sent to the light. They've kind of got lost. Send them to the light. Ask that they go to the light and they release them from this dimension and sent to the light. Sometimes people are lost and they will be here and they would have died in the house and you bought the house, but they're still in the house. You can send them to the light, but I noticed that with some people, even people who are very good at energy clearing, who've gone into the houses, cleared them out, but they came back. You don't always have the power you think you do energetically. The spirit will just not want to leave for whatever reason. I was watching something on the tsunami in Japan, and a lot of people had seen spirits after that big disaster. They said they felt these people were lost because they had no home to come back to. So when they would want to visit their relatives, they were lost in that space. And it was a really interesting documentary about this phenomenon that people after trauma will be wandering around the area not knowing whether they're here or on the other side. If you do see spirit, I'm quite envious of you because I don't see them. I just want them to rock up and be like there. I can just see them, but I'm very grateful for the gift that I still see them. And we all have different ways of connecting to spirit. I think if you see them as a visual in your head, like I do, that's a very powerful way to still see them. And you should be grateful for that because not everyone sees spirit. I think a lot of people have seen them or heard them. I know that after my mother died, my father heard her calling him, like calling for him. And he actually told me that, which was interesting because he was an atheist and thought all this was rubbish and always gave me a hard time about the work I did. However, even he is such a non-spiritual person or believer, he heard her voice. And I had another friend and his wife had died and he woke up and she called his name and he woke up and he actually saw her at the end of the bed. And he was the same. He thought, I think he always thought I was a little crazy, really. He loved me, but he thought I was a bit nuts. So he actually saw her as well. So it doesn't always mean that because you're super spiritual, you see. Sometimes they will just present and you will see. Often they come in also for reassurance and come in to show you that they're still there, they're still around. And I think that's rather a beautiful way for them to come and say hello to us. I work as a medium as well, so I'm very familiar with the other side and people roaming around the place. Often before a reading, particularly one that's going to be used as more of a medium reading, the person turns up like a few days before. Like this week, I'm supposed to read somebody's son, but the man hasn't got back to me for about a week. And the son's been here since the first connect with him, and I've just been waiting, and the son's just been waiting for his father to, get organised and make the phone call to me. But the boy's been just waiting, and he's so excited. I can feel he's so excited to be able to talk to his dad and say the things he maybe didn't get to say, or just talk to his dad. So I find it really interesting how I'll know they're here in my house here with a few dead people walking around. There's a lot of spirit also in hospitals because sometimes people come to collect, people are dying, but also sometimes people are still there because they get a little lost wandering around. So it's another place where there's a lot of activity spiritually, all these little people walking around in their little spiritual bodies. Be aware of that when you're in hospitals or in anywhere where people are dying, the hospice as well, because you'll pick that up quite strongly. They come to often collect the person, and there could be a whole group of them come to collect mum or dad or auntie to help with the crossing over. I hope you do see spirit in some way because it's really quite a beautiful part of my life, and it would be a beautiful part of your life. And if you don't see spirit, just ask your guides. Come on guys, want to see spirit some way. Help me see, help me connect. Because all we're doing is connecting energetically and seeing. I hope you have a very nice time this week, and I hope you do get to see some spirit in some way, whether it's in real time, in your third eye, or even in dreams, because they will often come in dreams to see us. And that is also very beautiful, especially when we remember having a cup of tea with somebody, or they were in our house, or we were doing some jobs together. And that's spirit visiting as well. So I'm sending you lots of spirits and lots of love and lots of light.